Uncle John Ramsey, the father of John Benet Ramsey, who would have been 21 had she not been brutally murdered. I want to play a clip because we did many interviews together. This is from the year 2000 when I asked Patsy Ramsey about how she found the strength to go on. Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey, again and again in your book, you talk about your faith in God.
If it weren't for our faith, there would be no hope of ever seeing John Benet again. But we know that we will see her again in heaven.
You think that John Benet is in a better place?
I would have liked to think that my arms were the best place for John Benet to be. But she's in a place where I hope to be one day. I know I'll be there.
Well, Patsy Ramsey died in 2006. It wasn't until 2008 that she was officially cleared, so she died, John, still being a suspect. She never knew that she had been cleared.
Correct.
That's a terrible thing right there.
Well, Patsy was a very strong person. She knew who she was. Her friends knew who she was. Yeah. And so even though that element was still there, an overhang, it didn't seem to
John,
be a bother.
It's been a hard journey for you because before John Benet was brutally murdered, you lost your daughter Beth in a car accident. Then you lost your daughter, John Benet. Then you lost your wife to ovarian cancer. I mean, I don't think anybody could blame you for being angry, for being bitter. Were there times when you just considered that this life here was not worth it?
I'd be less than honest if I didn't say yes.
Meaning you thought of suicide?
Well, suicide is an escape from an intense pain. And that the better alternative for us, which we found, was to sleep. This was recommended to us by our minister. He said, when you get up, deal with the day. When you can't deal with it anymore, go to bed.
What if you can't sleep, though, with the anxiety?
Two Benadryl did a wonder on that.
Right. You also lost your business, I mean, your life.
Definitely challenged.
Before we went to break, Barbara was asking, who do you think killed John Benet Ramsey? What is your theory?
Well, I think John Douglas, who was a very noted FBI crime profiler, set up that program for the FBI a number of years ago, took a hard look at this, and he said he believed that it was someone who was angry at me or jealous of me, and it was primarily directed at me. And that was hard for me to accept and to swallow.
But she was sexually assaulted, the child, so maybe the motivation was was a pedophile's motivation.
Well, there is that theory as well.
In the house, and so it was such a brutal.
And what ultimately a challenge to your faith. You say on page 28 of your book, I asked myself, why didn't I pray more? Where had I fallen short in God's eyes? Why didn't he protect John Benet? Was I being punished? And then on the end of the book, you say, God's grace has come to me through trial. I believe the best days of my life are ahead of me. I found them on the other side of suffering, where they were waiting. How do you make that journey? How do you go from thinking, I am being punished, the love of my life, my little girl, was just ripped from me, blaming God, essentially, to feeling ultimately loved by him?
Well, the first question I think anybody asks when they're thrown a curveball in life is, why did this happen to me? And I certainly asked that question in anger. But a number of years ago, a friend asked me, he said, John, do you believe the best days of your life are in front of you? And I said, well, no, what a silly question. That's not possible. And I wasn't being bitter or sarcastic.
John, I'm going to stop you because we only have 30 seconds, and you're in a good place in your life, in part because you remarried just 8 months ago to this lovely lady, Jan, sitting in our front row. Well, I think that makes people feel very good. Having gone through so much, and we all feel for you, I'm very happy to see you in this place.
Well, thank you.
In this place here and in this place in your life.
Here.
Thank you. The book is called The Other Side of Suffering. It is inspirational, and it's also, as I said, a great mystery, and members of our audience are going home with it. Thank you.